Hi, my name is Gene Showalter, and this is my Phase 2 video for my TQA Intro to Colt starting class. TQA is a non-profit designed to help the inexperienced horse owner know what to expect when hiring someone from the equine industry. In this video, I'll be going over my Phase 2 score sheet for my Intro to Colt starting class. In this first clip here, I'm reviewing my groundwork in Phase 1 by saddling and bridling. Here's saddling. You can see I threw the blanket on horribly, but my horse did a good job of standing still and waiting on me. I throw the saddle on. He does a good job of standing still. You can see here he kind of loses his attention on me, but his feet kept still, so I wasn't too worried about it. Nothing about him is cinchy here, which is good. Overall, he takes the saddling really well. Doesn't move his feet. Does a really good job standing quiet. Then we'll go on to bridling. I want him to stand still, and I also want him to accept the bridle without much hesitation. So here I put the bit up to his mouth, and he doesn't resent it, but he doesn't take it as willing as he could. And overall, he does a really good job for a colt. I'll probably score him a 2 on the groundwork. Here we have horizontal direction in stage 1 on the ground. What I'm looking for is his inside hind foot to step up under his navel and his outside hind to step out and around. I'm looking for stage 1 when I ask him to stop there. I'm also putting the flag up in the saddle to make it seem as if a rider was there. And he does a good job with this. I'll score him a +2 on that. Next we have stand to get on, as well as horizontal direction in stage 1 while I'm on him. One thing I do when I'm getting on colts is I make sure their feet are set and ready for me to get on. It's not fair to them if they move their feet because they have to. Here you can see he's not very well set, but he does a really good job of standing still. Now for my horizontal direction in stage 1. Does a good job responding within the first 3 steps, which is kind of par for the course. There in the first 3 steps, he was stage 1. And I'll score him a +1.5 on that. Our next one is doubling. Doubling at the walk, trot, and lope. You can see he did that really well. Here again. Took him a little bit longer on that one to get it, but he got it. Now we're going to go to trotting. It takes him a little while to get into stage 1, but he does break down well. Once again, stage 1. And once again, he doesn't get into stage 1 as fast as he should. Now we're going to go with the lope. Does a good job of getting his lead, although we're not scoring on that right now. And overall, that was pretty good. It took him 2 strides to get into stage 1, which is better than it was at the trot, actually. Then we'll go the other way. Does a good job with his lead here as well. I'm going to ask him to double, and this was not as smooth as our other lope. Took him 4 or 5 steps. I'll probably score him at a 1 for that. Then we have stage 2 with willing submission. You can see he's very willing, but I'm waiting for him to shift back on his own. That's why he's being back so far. And as far as stage 2 with willing submission goes, he does a great job of that. I'll score him at a 2 on that. Here I'm just trying to get that back set up well. And he does a really good job with his vertical direction right there, which I really like. Now we're going to do our stage 3 on the fence. Stage 3 is the lateral motion of the front and hind feet together. And the fence is a tool you can use so the horse doesn't want to go forward as much. He did a pretty good job there with his crossing over of his front and hind feet. He wants to lead with his shoulder really bad here, so I'm going to try and get his hind end moving. And he's still really leaning with his shoulder, but I got his hind end over, so I'm going to quit him there. I'll score him at a 1 for our stage 3. Next, we're doing our horizontal direction circles. These are at a walk and a slow trot. And I'm also looking for some vertical direction here. So you can see I have his body well bent around the inside leg. Also watching for his inside hind to step up under his navel and his outside hind to step around. And I'm also looking for him to stay collected and in my hands with that vertical direction that we talked about. I also want him to stop well from the walk, which he does. Do a walk circle the other way. He's doing a great job with horizontal direction. And he did pretty good with his vertical direction there too. Next we'll go into the trot. Now, a trot circle is similar to a walk circle in horizontal direction, other than it has to be a little bit larger because it's a larger gait. But all of his steps should be following the same, and they were following the same as they were in his walk circles, which is really nice. He was also doing a good job with his vertical direction there as well. Go ahead and do our trot circle the other way. Once again, looking for him to be bent around my inside leg. I want his inside hind to be stepping up under like it is, and his nose to be on the same track as his feet, which it is. I also want a little bit of collection, which he's doing a good job of, especially for a colt. And he's doing a really good job with that. I'll go ahead and score him a 1.5 for that maneuver. And lastly, we have loping straight line outside. So here you can see he mothered up to the trailer a little bit. I want to set him back on his line. And from here to my end point, he does a good job of staying on a straight line for the most part. I'll go ahead and score him a 1 on that because there's room for improvement, but it was pretty good. And here, just a little thing that I like about my horses is I want them to be able to walk back to the barn. And you can see that he's really moving in his walk, but he is staying in that walk, which I love in a horse. So I'm going to go ahead and keep that as a good maneuver. Next, we'll go over the temperament side of the scale. So our first category is self-preservation, the fight or flight of a horse. You want the horse to be on the lower side of the scale, which is the positives, because it's good for a horse to have low self-preservation, especially for a client. This horse I'm going to put at a +1 because he's pretty good most of the time, but you can bring him up into his self-preservation if you ask for it right. Next category is confidence, with the high end being on the positive side because you want a horse with more confidence. They can fill in for an inexperienced rider. This horse I'll also put as a +1 here because he's very confident in his maneuvers for the most part, but he can still be put in situations where he doesn't know what's going on entirely. The next category is energy, which is can also be called motivation and determination, with the high side of the scale being on the positive side, because you want a horse that will deliver on an energy side when needed. And this horse I'm going to put at a 1.5, a positive 1.5, because he has the energy when he needs it. Next, we'll go to sensitivity, which is a response to light pressure. I'm going to put this horse at 0 because he's not as responsive as I'd like, but he's also not as dull as a horse could be, which is appreciated. Our next category is our willingness to respond to a request. with the willing side being on the positive side. And this horse, I'm going to put it a 2 because this horse has never told me that he can't do something, especially throughout this video. He's always been willing to try to do it for me. And lastly, we're going to go to our reaction to social separation. I'm going to put this horse at a 0.5, a positive 0.5. The scaling on this paper should be reversed. The calm should be the positive. So I'm putting him on the 0.5 to the calm side, because he wasn't a nervous wreck about it, but he definitely noticed that his friends weren't going with him, which is okay in my mind, but he wasn't perfectly calm about it and not responsive to it. So 0.5 towards calm seems the best scoring for me.